2014, stand-up desks were not a thing. I got one at my office when I was working a corporate job, super fancy electronic, and I wanted one for home. So I made ones out of IKEA furniture for $25, and I've always just done that since then. But what I was gonna say is, oh my god, totally lost my train of thought. We're talking about IKEA desks and stand-up desks. I have no idea where we're going now with this.
But I want to make one now because I was going to buy an expensive one.
Sturdy desks.
Sturdy desks. Okay. Yes, that's right.
I got a desk from IKEA, and then at the time I was working at home for a corporation, so I had this stand-up desk that goes on top. It was so heavy it broke the IKEA desk. So like, how can I make a sturdier desk in a pinch? All we did, my mom went to like Home Depot, got like $5 table legs that are like wood and super sturdy. I added new brackets to I think a sturdier like desktop or another IKEA desktop. Attached those on. It was the sturdiest desk ever, and it probably cost us like pennies.
Okay, now my husband's gonna come home and I'm gonna be like, all right, I have a new DIY project. He's gonna be like, no, you already have a million in the works. Like, just let me buy the freaking desk. And I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna make it because we can make it for $25. And he's gonna be like, you're not gonna make it until 2027. So
it's as simple as attaching like a shelf to the side of a desk.
I've never done that in my life.
Table. I will send you tutorials. I got
you need to bring your tiny home down here and show me how to do it.
Going down, yeah. Anyways, guys, welcome, and thanks for tuning into our stand-up desk talk with Chelsea and Karen on how to hack IKEA furniture to make a stand-up desk that is appropriate for your body. Anyways, this is our first. Well, yeah, it's our first collab interview chat. Yeah. So we wanted to just have a casual, fun conversation where we're talking about wellness and sharing it with you. Chelsea tell me what, like, I know you're doing the habit edit.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
Introduce yourself. Let's say you go with it.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I was thinking like, what should we call this? I was like, it's Wednesday. We could call it like our Wednesday wellness wine chat. I don't know, something like that. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm a wellness coach and I have ADHD and I work with women with ADHD. And so obviously that's how Karen and I got to know each other because we're doing the same thing pretty much. And so the Habit Edit was a membership and now I'm turning it into an online course. And it's basically just to help women create wellness habits and keep it simple and keep it easy and not have it be super overly complex like wellness tends to be these days, right? So that's me.
And you're like, I'd say you're the expert go-to in all things like nutrition. Like I go to you, I'm like, what should I do for meal ideas? I mean, I talk about this stuff, but I feel like that is your bread and butter. So I do want to talk more about that. You guys all know me. I'll introduce myself briefly if we put this on your YouTube. So I'm a body and mind transformation coach for women with ADHD. So I have ADHD 2, late diagnosis club over here. My background's in bodybuilding, did that for many years, earned a professional status, like a pro card, do circus training now, certified personal trainer, and essentially took all of that knowledge over my entire life, bundled it all together with a huge mindset component, and realized I have strategies and systems that actually work for the ADHD brain of starting with and sticking to exercise and wellness habits. And it's all about creating those systems and habits, but also combining with the mindset tools so you can stop that negative loop in your head that's really saying, you can't do this. It never worked before.
Right
now. Yeah. So Chelsea, what are you drinking today?
Okay, well, right now I might get canceled for this because I like ice in my wine. Do you like ice in your wine? Oh my God,
no!
I'm sorry. Should we end this now? Like you're like
no. I'm sending you on camera.
It's fine. That's fine. Everybody judged me, but honestly, I just love it. I hate it when it gets lukewarm. It's rosé, so I wouldn't do that to red wine. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just a rosé that I hadn't tried before. It's called Liquid Light. Honestly, I'm just like a sucker for a pretty label. So the label was beautiful and I thought the name was really cute. So like, I'm not the biggest wine guru knowing exactly what it is, but It's delicious. So what are you drinking? I see like
and I
a
love
pretty
the pretty
drink in the
label thing
background.
because we had wine here that had a scrunchie attached to it.
I would be
Scrunchy wine.
instant purchase. Instant
Best
purchase.
marketing ever, right? I am
Yes.
not drinking wine because, you guys, we were going to film this last week. I bought wine, drank all the wine. I don't have any more wine in my fridge at the moment, so we're drinking a little mixed cocktail of. It's a fizzy energy drink. It's from Arbonne and has ginseng in it. Along with, I mixed it what it's called their Mind Health, and it's for like cognitive focus. Cognitive functioning, which I really like. It's like this, it gives me like about a 2-hour kind of period of like focus. It's like my brain is just like dialed in. So I mix it together because I don't like the taste of the Mind one on its own as cherry. I hate cherry, and I mix it with this blood orange energy, healthy energy, fizzy drinks. It's really good.
So yours is like for cognitive function and mine's like for anti-cognitive function. Although that makes sense because our time difference is like, for me, it's almost 5 o'clock, right? And for you, it's like mid-afternoon. So
and tell me about what you're eating today. I need some ideas for lunch as well. So what is on your plate?
Okay, yes. So I actually made these last week, but I had to tell you about them because you're not big into cooking, right? Like you don't love cooking. Like you want to keep it as simple as possible. Is that like your jam? So I made these lettuce wraps last week. Do you guys have P.F. Chang's in Canada, or have you ever been to P.F. Chang's? No? Oh my gosh.
No,
First of all, it's delicious. Okay. So it's a Chinese restaurant, but it's very nice. Like it's a very nice Chinese restaurant, or like nice, like, I don't know. Anyways, they have these lettuce wraps, and it's like a big piece of romaine lettuce, and there's like the ground chicken inside. So I kind of made my own version. And I found a recipe that had all these ingredients to make your own sauce and whatnot. And I was like, I'm not going to be doing all that. So all it is ground chicken. Like you take ground chicken, some onions and some water chestnuts. And then I took like a pre-made teriyaki sauce and sauteed it all together until it got like kind of caramelized because of like the sugar in the teriyaki sauce. And then you put it in the lettuce wrap and eat it, and it is delicious. It's like my favorite meal recently. It's like I want to make it again, even though I just had it.
I have chicken in the fridge, like ground chicken. So I don't have lettuce, but I'll buy lettuce. Or I was thinking of getting like rice paper for like rice rolls.
Yeah, you could make it like a little egg roll, or you could even do it over rice, like a rice bowl, you know. I feel like it'd be good with so many different things. So what about you? Tell me about, you're like the exercise guru. So tell me about like what kind of exercise you've been doing recently, or what did you do this morning for your exercise?
Yeah, and I'm loving these questions. So I think we're gonna make this a standard of like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? What am I doing for my body? So
just like want somebody to chat with about all the wellness things, right? Yes, so perfect.
Yes. So if you guys follow my YouTube or Instagram or really anything, I'm a big advocate for working out first thing in the morning. It's what I always do unless I'm training circus in the evening. And then today I woke up, it's like, even last night I was training circus, so I was tired, still trained really hard, got up this morning, I'm like, I can't. I'm so tired, didn't have the best sleep, just quality wise. So I did not work out this morning. But what I actually want to show you, I don't know if we can see on camera, but I was like, what do I need this morning? What does my body need? So I did a little bit of journaling, essentially asking I wrote down, what does my body need today? What does it need this morning? And what I did was about 30 minutes of like stretch, kind of flow, just what felt really good to my body. And that felt wonderful. So tonight I'm going to go for a run because it's really, really nice out, and that will feel really good for my body too. And then, so we're taking this as just a nice kind of active recovery day for myself.
I love it. Stretching is probably my favorite kind of movement ever. Like my husband and I actually started this really nice ritual where in the evenings we'll do like a little meditation, and then we'll turn the lights down low and we'll do just some stretching before bed. It's just like my favorite thing ever. I love it so much.
I
I
love
love
you so
stretching.
much because
It's so
I do
nice.
not love that. And I don't stretch enough.
Really?
I don't do flexibility,
Oh, I
which
love it.
is, oh, so is that what you're hyper focusing on right now? If not, tell me what you're really binging and focusing on.
Oh, okay. So, well, first of all, when it comes to like exercise, I actually have been doing a lot of that and kind of just a little bit like more slow intuitive movements because I had surgery on my hand in October and I wasn't able to do any kind of exercise until literally a few weeks ago. And so this is the first time probably in my adult life, like I realized how much exercise was crucial for my mental health when I was like maybe 23, 24, and I'm 31 now. So this was the first time that I went like 3 solid months without actually exercising. So that was really freaking hard and reminded me how much it impacts my mental health, number one. But I've been kind of easing back into it and doing like my hyper focus has been like just turning the lights down low in my office in the evening. And like, I'm an evening exerciser. I'm not a morning exerciser. So we're opposite there. But like, putting like lighting a few candles and putting in my like my AirPods and just stretching and doing yoga flows and like just doing whatever I feel like. And it's so freaking nice and so opposite of what I used to do, which was like force myself to go to CrossFit like 5 days a week, you know? And so like, it's just nice. Now I'm like, now that I wasn't able to move my body for 3 weeks or 3 months, sorry, almost 4 months. It's just like, now I feel so appreciative of that. I'm like, oh, it's so nice. And it just, my mental health is so much better. So that's been kind of like my movement hyper focus of the week. One of many, you know.
I have
What
so
about
many
you?
like questions and things for you on this. First
Mm.
off, how do you find exercising at night? Like even getting started, making it a habit, making it feel exciting? Because I know I
Ooh, that's a good
exercise first in the
question.
morning. I
Okay.
advocate that, but there's people that doesn't work for. So what even how can I help my people?
Right. Yeah. Such a good question because I always tried to exercise in the morning. Like when I was a teacher, I would get up before work and exercise. I realized it drains my whole day. Like it drains my energy for my whole day, which I know most people say the opposite, but for me, it just didn't work. So the evenings, one good, because you're right, it can get to the point in the evenings where like you're tired or you end up on the couch and you're like, I don't really feel like it. It's easier to put it off. I like booking classes. So like I like either booking classes, or that's really the best way if I'm like not sure if I'm going to do it. You know, because it's like I know that I have to go to that class and I already booked it and they're expecting me and whatnot. But honestly, it's also the kind of thing where for me, I've gotten to the point so much where I enjoy it, which I know people are just like, whatever, you enjoy, you know, like so many people are like, I don't understand that. And I used to feel the same way. But because I enjoy it, I really look forward to it. And it like kind of is my mental reset, and I go into the evening like my body really physically calm, helps me sleep so much better. It's just like the benefits. I feel like I have, it's become such a part of my routine because it's benefited me in so many ways. So I just blabbered, but
I
yeah.
like this. And what you said too about finding movement that feels good in the moment. And that's something that I promote where I'm at too with if you're really enjoying it, you're gonna look forward to it. If you're asking your body what it needs, like case in point did this morning, it's going to feel good. And when it feels good, you're more inclined to do it again. But a lot of people aren't there yet. Like it's
Totally.
I should do this, I should do that. And even if they're past the like I should go to the gym and they know they need to find something they like, how can you even pinpoint at like what time, maybe it was over those 3 months, where you're like, I'm gonna do stuff that makes my body feel good. Like, do you remember how that changed?
What do you mean over the past 3 months when I
Yeah, like
didn't
when you were
have
like
access to
resting.
exercise?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember when you kind of changed that like approach to exercise?
Well, I mean, so, oh, you mean like, so in the past, like I said, when I was younger, I used to try and force myself into exercise. And I think the biggest switch to becoming a regular exerciser really was stopping the force, like taking away all forms of force and like the have tos and the shoulds. And like, to be honest with you, you're never going to see me going out on a run because I hate it. Like, I hate it. So I'm not going to do it, you know? And I think that was the biggest, truly, and the only mindset shift that made the difference from me disliking it to enjoying it, giving myself permission to do the things. Like, even if I'm not breaking a sweat, I'm still like moving my body and doing something good for my body. And if it feels good in my body, that's good enough. You know, it doesn't have to be like break your back, like sweat dripping down, like, you know, wearing the Apple Watch, counting all the calories, which, like, if that is like great for people, I think that's fantastic. But those things like stressed me out and I didn't enjoy it. So really just giving myself unconditional permission to be like, this is my playtime, you know, like, I know we both like aerial silks. It's like, I just want to play. I just want to have fun. I don't want to like force myself anymore, you know?
Yes. And I resonate with all of that. I've been on a similar journey. And for people watching and listening, you may be like, but what about like getting fit and goals and like how do I stick with it and all these things? And just know that sometimes this can be a process and it doesn't happen overnight. They're like, I'm just going to change everything I know about exercise and movement and making it a habit.
Oh,
But it
yes.
starts with being like, am I saying I should do something? And if that word should comes up, it's like, do I want to? Right? It's catching
Right.
yourself in the shoulds. And it's like, is that true for me? What if I
Right.
can look at this differently? Because we are here to tell you and show real proof that we don't follow the shoulds. We do what feels good for us and it works really well.
Right. And it might take some exploration too, right? Like figuring out what you like. Like it took going to so many different kinds of classes and trying out so many different things and being like, okay, definitely don't like that, you know, and like, and weeding things out and being like, this I really look forward to. And it's so fun and just kind of playing with it and experimenting,
And
you
like
know?
knowing that that's okay. You can just try stuff.
Right.
If you don't like it, it's totally fine.
And you don't have to commit to it for the rest of your life. That's a big thing too, you know, like being like, all right, I'm starting this gym and I'm going to go 7 days a week for the rest of my life. Like, no, you know?
Yeah, ignoring the shoulds, which now got me thinking about kind of what I've been hyper focusing on, which is like two big things. And one of it is circus, more so than I guess previously. I mean, I've always done circus for a good couple years, but lately really been focusing on like drills, like just doing drills on the things that I enjoy. So if you guys again follow me on Instagram, I do circus, flying trapeze, and silks are my main things.
Wait, you've only done it for a couple years. You're so good.
Well, I started silks.
I'm shook. Like, oh
I
my God.
started silks probably 2017, so I guess 5 years.
Okay.
But then I was going like once a week for the first year or two, and then really stepped it up about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then flying trapeze I started 2 years ago, but then COVID shut down everything for a hot minute. So
Right.
yeah, but flying trapeze about 2 years, and then silks like really put effort in probably 3 years.
Oh, you're so good. Like, I love watching
Yeah.
yourself. I'm like, oh, look at her.
So when I was training, even probably earlier 2021, I was gonna say this year, but it's like beginning of 2022. It's like, okay, I gotta learn a new trick. I gotta learn like different wraps. I gotta, learn a new sequence, like, cause like that's what you should do. You should learn new things. And I am not flexible. I don't like doing splits. If you ever watch me, I'll never ever do a split. Some people think I do. I've never done a split in my life on silks. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I don't do splits. I don't do pretty pose sequences. I don't do spins. And I'm like really ignored the shoulds. I'm like, what I love doing drills, but like dynamic stuff. I love swinging on them. I love like what we call beats. I like some drops and just a lot more of like the strength element of it. So I've been just hyper focusing on like what we call beats and like this dynamic and kind of intensive movement that's really fun for me. And I'll just do it again and again for like an hour. And I'm like, I'm not doing any pretty split poses, but this is so fun. So it's really about like finding what's fun and sticking with it. That kind of brings it back to our theme of movement.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And it's so funny how what we like is the actual total opposite. I'm like, I love stretching and I love that, and you're like, no, but I'm like, I hate running. You're like, I love running. But that's why like there's no right answer for every person. That's why you have to experiment, because it drives me crazy when people are like, you just have to do this one thing, just do this thing and just stick to it. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. And I'm like, but it actually does for ADHDers. Like it actually does.
For everybody. I feel for everybody.
For everybody, but even more so for ADHDers. Like because our we actually have to feel motivation to be able to do something. Other people can like kind of force themselves into it. Our brains don't get started unless they like have an interest or a passion or like, some kind of.
We're interested and we need that passion. Yeah.
Right. And that's all good.
Right? I want to transfer into other wellness habits. So the other thing I've been hyper focusing on is my morning routine. So I talk extensively about morning and night routines, and I, for a period of time, kind of like didn't have, like the last months, didn't really have a morning routine or night routine, which is like intentional. I was like, you know what? I've had them in the past. I'm just gonna be really intuitive. That's what I was doing. But then maybe like since January, I was like, you know what? I actually really need my systems and structure again in my morning, because it just wasn't serving me being intuitive. Like you kind of go in one direction and then you kind of bring it back into something more structured.
That's totally how I am too.
Right? Like, it's totally through it. Yeah. So I've been rehashing my morning routine, which is feeling so good. And it includes.
Yeah, I was like, tell me it from beginning to end. I want to hear it all. I love morning routines.
I mean, I work out first thing in the morning, but before I work out, I get up, grab a glass of water, grab some water, big glass of water. And then I will put on my kind of song that I'm also hyper focusing on. I usually listen to a song on repeat for like weeks.
What song is it? What's your latest?
Oh man, I'm in a transition period. So my morning song, I'm loving Indian Summer by I think it's Ja Wolf, as you pronounce it. I will link it. It's super great. And then my feeling song, which I posted on my Instagram the other day, is Still Trying by Nathaniel Rateliff. So if I'm feeling more like feelings, like slower stuff, I'll put on that one. If I want something like very like uplifting, like let's bring this, let's start this day, it's Indian Summer. We'll have to link it because I don't think we can play it on live, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear these. I love getting new songs.
I will put on the song I'm loving and just feel it, just dance around. I'm gonna say kitchen, but really my entire tiny home, because it's all one room. And really just like I feel it, get energized, whatever wants to come out. Then I come over to, I have it here, my snap cup, or I should say snap cups, because I got two. It's very full. And I, on a piece of paper, write down what I'm proud of, whatever comes to mind from that morning, last night, and usually I do a few, and I put them in my snap cup. And then I draw one from there. And I try to like not draw the ones I just put in from any cup. And I read it. And this, what a snap cup is. If you've seen Legally Blonde, I think it's
yes, I'm like, I love this. This is such a fun practice.
As a snap cup. So in the movie, it was, I think all her coworkers would write something positive about another coworker and put in the cup. And then they'd read them and give them snaps. So I dressed up as her one Halloween. That's how I got the idea originally years back. And it's like having like a brag jar just didn't seem fun for me, but as soon as I made it into a
snap cup is like, I love that. Yeah,
so much more fun, and we follow the fun. So I give myself snaps every morning. So it's really about writing something you're proud of, your bragging moment, putting in the cup, and then reading it. Reading it is the hardest part because so often we're like, oh yeah, I did good, but then we don't want to almost like reflect on that or remind ourselves how freaking amazing we are, because we never think we're good enough and it feels self-serving. You guys, this has been freaking phenomenal, game changer. Like what, even this morning I woke up really tired, just like, brain was not functioning. Doing my snap cup, it's just like this instant dopamine, focused, energized. It is the simplest, most fun thing to change your day. So that's the second thing I do in my morning. And then the third thing that's like not every morning, it depends on what I'm needing, is a little meditation, which is refining my meditation practice. And then lastly, usually after my workout, unless I'm working in the evening at circus, I have an espresso machine I bought recently, which I am like loving. So I make myself a nice cappuccino, maybe Americano.
I've been seeing your microfoam on your coffees
Oh my God.
recently on Instagram. They look so delicious.
My cappuccino is like microfoam and like espresso. I just love the foam so much, and I can do it. It's my own machine, my own drink. So I am loving all of that. It's feeling so good. It's feeling so fun. And even the mornings I don't want to do it, which is ridiculous because it feels good, I do it and day is phenomenal.
That's so fun. So how long does all that take you?
Oh, I mean, if I want to dance a few songs, so maybe a few songs, but otherwise, I mean, a couple minutes for a dance, snap cup for a minute, and then repping like Adam's peanut butter here, and
sponsored,
right? And then I'll meditate. Usually for my meditation, and this is an easy hack, because we're like, oh, it seems so long. Do I have to do 20 minutes, 5 minutes? I put my kettle on to boil. And when it's done boiling is when my meditation's done. So it depends how much water's in my kettle, you guys. That's how long I meditate for. And it's a couple minutes, sometimes 10 minutes if it's a full kettle of water, if I want to keep going. And then really be present as I'm making my fancy espresso drink. So I don't know, like sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20, depends what I need that day. It's feeling really, really good. Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm like inspired. I love talking about morning routines, and I love it's so funny. I love just hearing about people's daily normal lives, like TV shows when they're like, getting all into the drama and stuff. I'm like, I don't want the drama. I just want to hear about people's normal everyday lives. I don't know. It's very weird. So I think that's so cool. I love the snap cup. I want to make one.
Oh, do it.
It
was really
what's one thing you were proud of?
Ate peanut butter. And then I had the snap cup. So that was the easiest.
Right? I have like a million cups hanging around. So that's perfect. What was one thing you were proud of from today?
Okay.
I want to know.
So two things I put in. One was this lovely, lovely woman. I'm going to shout her out. Joe Fox. I think Fox is your last name, but she does Fox sensory tools. I'm getting that correct. We'll link that. And they're like these sensory, just different ones. Like there's a scrunch pillow, there's like the soft velvety one, and they're for all different things, like for grounding, for energizing, for like comfort. It's amazing. I just had a chat with her this morning, and she just like unsolicited, she's like, Karen, I'm just loving your YouTube. You're just like, I love how you show up on there. I love your content. And just like this beautiful compliment, I was like, you just made my heart sing. So that was what I was proud of. I was just like, you know what? This made me feel really good. And I put that in, just saying like her positive comment. So that went in this morning. The other one was that I was training circus, silks and trapeze last night. I was kind of tired, but was really happy with this improv flow I did to that Nathaniel Rateliff song. And just trapeze, it was just working on some skills, and it was just really fun. And I just really proud of how I showed up, because normally it's like, those weren't good enough. Those drills weren't good enough. That choreo wasn't good enough. And I was like, no what? It was freaking phenomenal. So that went in as well.
Love that. I love that. I think I'm going to add that. I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll make a snap cup tomorrow and I'll tag you. Because you're so right. Like, no matter how much we know about mindset, right? The human brain always wants to go back to negativity. It's just the way it is. So you really have to work to, especially bragging, like you were saying, like it is really hard to actually share or accept a compliment from somebody and not be like, oh my gosh, no, like when she shared that she loved your YouTube. For me, it's like so hard when somebody gives me a compliment to be like, just be like, thank you, versus being like, no, that was crap. It's all trash, like that. It's so easy to do that. So I really love that, just getting in the practice of like acknowledging the positive things that you've done.
It literally
That's magical.
Practice. And I found like when I used to do breaks in a journal, I would never reread them. And it was even just so hard to open that journal and write it down.
Oh yeah, I never reread my journals.
That's literally on my windowsill in front of my kitchen sink. It's like, I have to write one down on this pre-cut pieces of paper, which make it like, a big paper is overwhelming. Little slip of paper, not overwhelming. That's easy. Pen's already in there, easy. And then I have to pull one out. That's fun. Who doesn't like pulling things out of a hat or a jar? So I made it really fun and like simple and enticing that I was like, ooh, dopamine, ooh, get to pull one out.
Yeah. And not knowing which one you're going to get is like very exciting. I love that.
Yeah. So let's give you some practice on this. So Chelsea, first of all, even though you drink wine with ice, I mean, I still love you for that.
You'll still be my friend.
Even though I think you're freaking phenomenal because you always have this such cheery demeanor and you always show up with like, the world is beautiful, sunshiny place. And it's so contagious, your energy, that I absolutely love that about you.
Thank you. See, I was like, just like smiling, like, and it was so hard.
You accepted it. Beautiful.
I accepted it. I didn't push it away. Thank you.
You're welcome. And what is your morning routine like right now? If you have
what
one?
I was just about to tell you. I was going to say, okay, so you made me want to talk about something that I've been doing with my mornings that I never thought I would ever try or do. And I was kind of like opposed to it previously, honestly. But I have been trying dopamine detoxing. Have you heard of this?
Never.
Okay. So when I first heard of it, I was like, first of all, I hate anything with the word detox in it. Like, I'm like, no thanks. That sounds awful, right? Right off the bat. But I've been trying this. And so what it is basically you kind of for the first, so I heard this on, we talked about this. You know who Michelle Pelazon is? Like she has her Instagram is holisticism. And she has
did not follow, but you mentioned.
Okay. I love her. And like anything she does, I'm like, oh my God, I immediately want to do it. Like, I just think she's so cool and awesome. So she talked about dopamine detoxing and I'd heard about it before and I was like, okay, if she does it, then I'll try it. So she also has ADHD. And what it is she does it for the first 3 hours of her morning. I'm not there yet. I'm like 1 to 2 hours. But when you wake up for the first couple hours, you refrain from anything that's going to give your brain dopamine. And the idea is, it sounds, at first I was like, I'm very skeptical of this.
Terrible, yeah.
It sounds terrible, right? And it is, but it isn't. And the idea is, and I don't know the exact science behind it. So if anybody does, you can comment about it below or just know that I'm not claiming to be an expert here, but like, I guess the idea is that in the morning, if you kind of dump a bunch of dopamine into your brain first thing, right? Like you get up, you have your medicine. If you take ADHD medicine, you have your coffee, which gives you dopamine. You're listening to music, you're scrolling social media, you're doing all these things that are like flooding your brain with dopamine. It's almost like you go up too high and then you crash later, right? And later in the afternoon, which is something that I've struggled with, is like crashing in the afternoon and like feeling like, oh my God, I have no energy, I have no motivation left. I just want to sit on the couch, right? So, and scroll TikTok because that's the only thing that'll give me dopamine right now. So I've been trying dopamine detox because I was like, this sounds like it could be something helpful. So even though it sounds like it'll suck, I'll try it. And it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. I'll say that. But like I wake up and in the morning, I've been making like some kind of tea that doesn't have caffeine first thing. I have my coffee later, but like first thing I'll have some kind of tea that doesn't have caffeine. And sometimes I'll do a meditation while my tea is like steeping. And I don't put on any podcasts. I don't put on any music or anything. And I just kind of like do some things in the quiet that need to get done or that I feel like doing. And I do let it be really intuitive. If I feel like reading, I'll read. If I feel like journaling, I'll journal. If I feel like doing some chores, which I weirdly love doing chores. So if I feel like doing chores, I'll do some of that. I will do my skincare, maybe put on makeup, just whatever, but do it like in the quiet. And for me, that's such a foreign experience because I always want like a podcast on or music on, or like my brain is always busy. And I have actually, as annoying as it is, noticed a difference. Like my dopamine levels throughout the day are more steady. So say I wake up at like 7, maybe around like 8:30 or 9, I'll have my coffee and I'll allow myself to turn on a podcast or like do some of those things that like are boosting your dopamine. But it's kind of from the idea that like naturally in the natural world hundreds of years ago, we wouldn't have had all this dopamine flooding our brains first thing, right? So it's like it's been really nice. And I don't do it every morning, but I actually genuinely do notice a difference. So that's kind of been my morning routine. And I just bought the book, The Artist's Way. So tomorrow morning, I cannot wait to get up, and while I'm doing my dopamine detox, I think I'll make a snap cup and I will do that. And then I'm going to read The Artist's Way. So yeah, that's kind of in my mornings.
You're gonna do your snap cup. It's like, I feel like you shouldn't write anything in there because that's dopamine. You're gonna be like, I'm so
well, that's a good point. And the point of it is to not get like extraneous dopamine. You know what I mean? Like how we flood our systems with maybe I'll say artificial dopamine. So if you're like get dopamine from reading or journaling or anything, you don't have to just like sit in a bubble, you know, like, because that's what I thought at first too. But as long as you're not like getting it from these other sources, it's still beneficial.
It sounds like I'm gonna say like a forced dopamine, or like I need something, so I'm going to, I don't want to say numb because it's like a different topic, but it's like I'm going to have a coffee. I'm going to, meds. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's the opposite of numb. It's like you want to feel something. You're like craving a feeling, right? Right.
It's like funny as you're saying that, I was like, oh, I think of like the last kind of good chunk of my life, like 4 or 5 years when I really started to focus on health, wellness, and optimizing that. Like I did a lot of what you're saying of like, like managing my day where if things went in flow of like having that constant dopamine. Before I knew I had ADHD, like I would not have coffee, and I still don't have coffee until after my workout generally, unless it's a day I'm not working out in the morning, or like my favorite breakfast, or like toast and peanut butter, so freaking good, and banana, amazing, until like after the workout's done, because then it's I'm just kind of taking in these things that aren't serving me. And when you're saying that too, it's like, oh, it sounds like you're having a very mindful, intuitive morning, which I feel is like exactly what we both talk about. It's like, how can you really start to listen to what you need and what feels good versus just listening to this brain pinging all over and trying to calm that down.
Totally. Yes. And I think the thing too is like, in the past, it's about finding a balance too, with knowing like the reality of our world today. Like I used to feel like, oh my God, I always have to be mindful and I always have to be whatever, and like never, scrolling social media or watching TV or anything like that. I felt so perfectionist about it. And the idea of just doing it in the morning, like, was nice to me, because I'm like, okay, I can handle this the first couple hours of my day, and it's nice because honestly, a lot of that time I'll spend like picking out an outfit and like actually like doing my skincare, and I go into the day feeling like ready, but that's a whole nother topic. I just like,
you're so intentional, right? Like you're being so present, versus like putting your skin products on. It's just so intentional. When you can be intentional to start your day, you're not going to react to stuff. You're going to be like, I have choice. I can create my day as I want. Which reminds me of something I started doing the last like maybe 2 weeks, and you probably already incorporate this in some way, is that was very, very bad with working until late hours, but not productive work, or then scrolling social media like we most do in the evenings, and having
market research.
Market research.
Doing some market research.
Or having a really hard time task switching at the end of the night, of like getting off the couch and being like, I want to do something that serves me, or I want to get to bed. And I still struggle with it. But now early in the day, from that place of intention, it's like, what would feel really fun for me to do later today, and planning that in and making it like a set thing. So this morning I wrote down the questions like, what does my body need? What would make today great? What would be fun today? And I wrote down going for a run, hopefully with a friend in nature. And it's like, cool, that sounds so fun for me. I'm going to schedule that in, and knowing that that's coming. And then I was like, okay, what else can I put at like 8, 9 o'clock at night that's going to feel really fun for me? And that can literally be one of my favorites, listening to music, sitting in my bed and just listening to the song. Like that is just so lovely. And that way, when 9 o'clock comes and I'm scrolling Instagram doing market research, I'm like, oh, right. I was
Have something else fun planned. Yeah,
and you're
I
like,
love that.
it doesn't sound fun now because I'm scrolling Instagram, but I remember this morning it was so really fun in my body. So I'm going to trust that feeling I had and go do that. And then it's like phenomenal.
You know, that's so genius, because that is the thing, is by the time I get into that like brain zone where I'm like, oh, I don't know, I just like I can't think of any good ideas of things that would be fun, which is why I end up scrolling social media. So I really like that, because I feel like you've already thought of the idea, and all it is being like, okay, I just got to get myself up and do it. And always when I get myself up and do something, I'm like, why did I resist this? It's so fun. But it is because, like you said, we just get in those zones where we don't want to task switch. So I love that. That's a really good idea.
And like,
I'm like, okay, now my morning routine is gonna be like 4 hours long tomorrow. I'm like, I'm gonna add this and this and this.
It's all great things, right? And the big thing with that is like feeling into, it's like, okay, what would feel really fun tonight? And like writing it down. So then go back to your list or put it like an alarm in your phone. When that comes up, you're like, would that be fun? You're like, wait a second, this morning it felt really fun. So I'm going to trust that it'll be really fun still.
Yeah. Right. Even if you feel like in that moment, you're like, I don't know. If you get into it, most of the time it is pretty fun. 100%. Okay, wait. Can I tell you about one more thing that I tried that I feel
yes.
Okay. So, oh my gosh, I have so many I want to tell you about, but we'll just have to do more of these because like 100%. We can talk about more things. Okay. 100%. So do you like supplements? Like, are you big into supplements at all?
Okay. I'll say yes. No, I love self-experimenting. So
yes, me too.
Yes,
me too.
Give it to me.
Okay. So I'm the same way, and I like experimenting. And to be honest with you, I've tried so many supplements, and a lot of them I'm like, didn't notice a difference. Not going to repurchase this. You know, like, I don't know. It is what it is. The one that I have found a difference with is magnesium. And I've been taking that for years.
Yeah.
Magnesium's so good. But that's not even the one I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the most recent one I discovered. I discovered a second one that I'm like, okay, I actually notice a difference. And this one also kind of goes hand in hand with that dopamine detox, like talking about that afternoon, like mental kind of crash. Like, you know, I feel like this supplement has been helping with that and helping me keep a more positive attitude and outlook in the afternoons, right? Because you said you're so bubbly all the time, and I'm like, well, then I need to be more real, because I'm definitely not more bubbly like in real life. Like, ask my husband, he's gonna be like, no, she's not bubbly all the time. But it's called I want to say SAME. I'm sure this isn't how you say it, but it's like SAM, and then it has a little dash and the letter E. And it's for mood support. So it's kind of like you know, all the mood support ones like L-theanine, ashwagandha, just so many, 5-HTP. There's so many mood supplements. I've tried like probably all of them. And this is the only one I've genuinely noticed a difference with. So it can be super expensive. Like, I found some that were literally $40 for a month's worth. And so I was like, I'm not purchasing that. But if you guys have Kroger around you, I found the like generic brand at Kroger. But maybe, I mean, I'm sure it's at other grocery stores too. And if they have like a what?
Let's link it too for the
story. Oh yeah. Good idea. We'll definitely link it. And it was $20 for a month supply, which is still pretty expensive for a supplement that like I purchase. I try not to purchase like the super expensive stuff, but
I purchase the super expensive stuff.
Do you? I know. Well, yeah. There's always those things that we're willing to spend like just so much money on, and like the other things that I like cheap out on, you know. And supplements, it's just sometimes I feel like they're so marked up, you know. I don't know, but. Anyways, so that one has been working very well, and I've noticed a difference. So I've been loving it.
Mood primarily, focus, energy. What do you find you're getting the best effects?
It is supposed to be for mood support, and especially, so I'm originally from Florida. We moved to Memphis area, which is still the South technically, but winters are hard for me. Like, I've noticed my mental health goes I know you're like, okay, please, like I'm in Canada, so the winters are nothing compared to what you have, I'm sure. But like my mental health goes like in the toilet if I'm not in the sunshine and making a conscious effort to stay on top of it. So going into winter this year, I was like super conscious about wanting to like do everything I can to not get into that like sad cloud, you know? So that's kind of what it's been helping me with is like keep an overall positive demeanor. So yeah.
Ooh, I like this. Yeah, let's link it below. I'm curious to learn about this as well. And there's so many things I could say because like so many different topics came up and questions, but let's round this conversation up and let's definitely do this again.
Yeah, we have to do it again. There's so many more things to talk about.
If you guys like this, please comment below with a little thumbs up. If you want to see more these conversational style videos, primarily just with Chelsea and myself because this was super rad. And if you didn't like it, still give a thumbs up.
Then go away. Don't do anything. Just like X out right now.
Subscribe. Tell a friend that you loved it even though you didn't. And then yeah. So Chelsea, where can everyone find more about you? Because I do know you started a YouTube and you have your podcast as well. So fill us in.
Yes. Okay. So I'm like a jack of all trades. I like to be everywhere. So on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, you can find me at Part-Time Wellness. And then what else? Oh yeah, my podcast is Vibrancy with ADHD. And I'm going to be posting this on there as well, and maybe on my YouTube too. So this was so fun. I'm so happy we did this. I love just like chatting about all the wellness things.
Yeah. So guys,
where can we find?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're already a subscriber to the channel, welcome back. If you have not subscribed, definitely hit subscribe. Of course, it makes Chelsea and myself feel really great that you love this and you're subscribing, but most importantly, it helps us reach more women like yourself who need this, or men who need this content. So help us help a friend.
And Karen, since I'm gonna post this on my podcast too, can you tell everybody where to find you? Because I'm sure they want to find you too.
I am on YouTube, which is Exercise, Nutrition, and Mindfulness for ADHD. I'm on Instagram, where you're gonna see more simple living, tiny home living, circus life at Karen.Broda. And I have, we can link it in your show notes. I have a freebie for creating a morning and night routine that you can stick with for ADHD that you guys are going to love. So, yeah.
Yay! I'm going to download that. I love a freebie.
Who doesn't love a freebie?
Everybody loves a freebie.
Cool. So I'll link all the other stuff below too that we talked about today. And yeah, let's do this again, girl. I love this.
Let's definitely do it again. See
Bye.
you soon.